Hello everyone, welcome or welcome back. My name is Suni and I'm the maker behind Even Knits here on YouTube, also available on Instagram and Ravelry with the same username. And happy 2023. It should have been a few days since the new year started for you by the time I post this. And I just wanted to share a couple of things that I'm trying to keep in mind for the new year as I'm knitting and crocheting and doing a bunch of other crafts. That I think might be helpful for you to keep in mind, or maybe inspire you to have a list of your own for things that you just try to be more mindful of in the new year. Obviously, change can happen at any point in time, so you can, if you're watching this somehow in the future, in like summer, fall, winter, never too late to start new changes. So I hope this will provide some sort of inspiration or just be entertaining and interesting to hear either way. So here are my 10 knitting and crochet resolutions for 2023. I kind of organized it, starting off with a lot of things I think everyone could/should keep in mind. Obviously it doesn't apply to everyone, just kind of based off the things that I've seen and the people that I know of who like crafting, things I think would be helpful. Starting off strong, number 1, with taking care of my hands and wrists. Physical health is extremely important. I think it's really important to take care of ourselves because our hobby and our craft is something that can put a huge physical strain on us, especially our hands, fingers, and wrists, even a little bit arms too. These are things that can impact us for the rest of our lives, and we need them for a lot of different tasks. Like, you need your hands for a lot of different things. And even if knitting and crochet brings an immense amount of joy, it is not worth getting arthritis before I'm 30. So that's just something that I am definitely trying to focus on. I started a little bit later last year, trying to be more intentional with stretching, but that was mainly in response to, especially with the cold weather, fingers and like hands feeling more cramped up and sore. It is not a reactionary measure, it should be preventative. So if you're not feeling any pain, good. Mama, hi. I don't know where I left off, but stretching and taking care of our physical health should not be a reactionary measure, it should be preventative. So if you're not hurting now, if you're not feeling any pain now, that's good. Keep it that way by periodically stretching and taking breaks. Taking breaks is something that I'm going to also be trying to putting a lot more effort into, because even if I did take breaks before, it was kind of just like a quick stretch, shake out my hands for like a minute, in between like an hour or two of crocheting or knitting, if that. So I'm going to try to have a goal of ideally getting in the habit of every maybe 30 minutes of what I'm working on, take 5 to 10 minutes of an actual break. Or at the very least, if I'm not actively stretching and like doing all that during the break, not doing much with my hands and letting them just relax and chill a little bit. Number 2, budgeting, aka invest in the things that I buy. I have a yearly budget, tentatively allocated with a little knitting, crochet, hobby section. My hobby is only really knitting and crochet, so there's not much else that it could account for. So I'm going to try my best to follow through with that, although hopefully my income will be different sometime throughout the year, so I'm open to changing it accordingly, but I don't want to stray too far from it. The hope with doing this is that when I have a set budget of how much I can spend on this specific area of my life, is that I won't feel guilty about using that money. Obviously I don't have to spend all of it, and I'm allowing myself to be more generous if I do end up going over, but if I'm spending money on things that I enjoy and things that make me happy, and it's not hurting me and it's not putting me in a financial difficult position, then I don't want to feel guilty about it. I want to make sure that I'm okay with it and I'm not beating myself up about just doing things that I enjoy. And on the flip side, being intentional with the things I buy, don't just buy things because they're on sale. Even if I'm like, oh, I like the yarn, it's pretty, it's on sale, I'll just get how much they have in stock. Be more selective, especially for yarn, what are the specific qualities of this yarn that make it something that I really want and I really like, not just an objectively nice looking yarn that is pretty. What does it have for me specifically that I couldn't get from somewhere else? Because there's so much yarn and yarn dyers and colorways and brands and everything out there. I can be more selective. If I buy everything that I think is just pretty, I will be the amount of money I'd be spending would be ridiculous. So be more conscious of that, and then be more selective in what I buy. Number 3, prioritizing the projects that excite me. This mainly ties into gift giving. don't just make people gifts because I think that I should, or I think that I should be able to. Like, even if there's special occasion going up, am I realistically able to make something for them? And do we have a relationship where I think this would be good? This would be reasonable for me to make something for them? And I don't want to be spending a lot of time, money, energy, anything like that on projects that, even besides just gift knits with people that maybe I shouldn't be gift knitting for, or making gifts for. Is this a project that is exciting me? Am I just like giving up on it, or like forcing myself through it and I want to give up? I shouldn't be forcing myself to do that. If it's no longer sparking joy, either put it on hold or frog it. It's not a big deal. I want to be more comfortable with like letting go of things I've started. And going along with prioritizing what I enjoy, being more selective with my test knits, or test crochet. I think I kind of get into the habit of testing or signing up to test for anything that I see that I think looks nice. And I kind of have the mentality of, oh, well, I would like having this finished piece in my wardrobe. Which may be true, but would I be willing to pay the full pattern price for it if I was not testing? And that's usually not as true, because I do find it a little more difficult to... I'm a little bit more discerning when it comes to buying patterns. I don't like buying patterns unless I know absolutely I'm going to make this immediately, I have a need for this, and then maybe I could make this for other people as well. And it's also by a designer that I really like. So because of that, if I'm not willing to buy, if I don't think I'd be willing to buy the test pattern full price with my own money, everything like that, probably shouldn't be testing for it. It's not something that really suits me or my style, and I don't want to keep getting caught up in the whole it's free so just take it, because especially if it's a test knit that doesn't provide many other benefits like full yarn support or like additional free patterns, and even those sometimes can be like not quite as much as I think it should be, depending. Getting on a tangent, but sign up for the things that I genuinely actually really like. And then 5, take care of my finished objects. Sometimes I get in the bad habit of, if I wear something out and I come back into the house and I want to change it to something else, I'll put it on the floor, or I'll kind of like messily put it somewhere. These are things I spend a lot of time on at the very least, even if not money, so I should take better care of them. Like, I don't have to maybe do like a full like wool wash, soak, block every time, but you know, fold them up, put them away where they're supposed to be, taking care of the things I put a lot of time into. 6, trying new things. This is kind of just like a little bit more for me personally. I want to just get a lot more familiar with different techniques, different yarns, project types, not just making the same kind of like raglan drop shoulder sweaters, but being a little more adventurous and like being more willing to try new things, even if it doesn't turn out okay. And then being okay with consequentially potentially frogging those things that I don't like, just because, you know, it's something fun to try. And I also want to get in the practice of freehanding more and modifying projects or patterns to better suit what I want. I think I freehanded a decent amount of like plushies, like crochet plushies, as gifts mainly, but I want to like, I don't know, feel a little bit more involved with things I make by adjusting the patterns myself. 7, I don't have to make progress every day. I think I get in my head sometimes that I get the idea in my head that I need to make a lot of progress if I'm going to work on something. I can't just like get like a few rows and then call it a day. But that's not true. There's no rush, there's no timeline, even for test knits, especially because most time I finish well ahead of the deadline. There's not a huge rush. I can take it easy, especially if I feel like I'm forcing myself to do it and it's not a test or anything like that. I shouldn't be forcing myself to do something that I'm supposed to enjoy. Make actual proper gauge swatches. Usually I do, whether it's for a test or just a project for myself, because I want to make sure that the finished object ends up fitting at the very least. But sometimes I do get a little lazy with it, I will admit. Like I might just knit the swatch up and then frog it, start the piece. But I think especially for test knits, but also just for any piece that I really value as well, I should block the swatch. I should, you know, pin it down, make sure it's, and measure it exactly. It should be as close as possible, if not spot on gauge as it should be. I should be more careful about this, because I can't excuse getting lazy with it and then not being happy with the results, because that's all on me. 9 is to, I don't know how to describe this. I kind of like title it as like share the love, but basically if I see something that I really like, whether it's a piece, a post, a YouTube video, a designer, or anything like that, I should express that I like it. I think sometimes I get a little, this is tied into other like anxiety and stuff and insecurities, but if I like something, comment on it, say that I like it. You know, like if I really like someone's design, someone's aesthetic, their style, the things that they make, I don't know if I could build myself up to DMing them, but like I can comment multiple times like, oh, this is really pretty, I really like how this turned out, or like this is beautiful color choice. I don't want to get so in my head that I prevent myself from really showing appreciation to people that I want to show appreciation to. And also that kind of ties in with like being more involved with like the communities that I really value and I am somewhat a part of. I don't want to be passively enjoying all these people's content. I want to support them because there are a lot of people that I really do like and admire, and I think reaching out and letting that be known can always, at the very least, or at the very worst, they don't see it or they get a little annoyed by like an extra comment or something, but at the very best it could be really nice for someone to hear. So that's something that I want to practice more. And then final resolution is to learn more. This is kind of in tandem with the new techniques, except it's more like based on the actual like knowledge side of it all. I want to like keep learning because there's a lot I don't know about, even if it's like how sweaters are constructed, different like techniques used to achieve certain results, of like all the different short rows there are. I only know like maybe 2, 3, I don't know, but there's a lot. How like different fibers are and how they interact with each other. There's a lot that I don't know and I want to get more experience with. So yeah, I feel like 2023, I'm trying to make sure it's a year of getting more connected, being more okay with things, and like there's just a lot of possibilities that I want to be open to. So this was a super short video. I hope that's okay. I just wanted to like share these things because it helps me, making the list helps me be a little more mindful, I think, and aware of it moving into the new year, and as I'm kind of starting it off, trying to keep these practices in mind. So I hope that, you know, this new year has started off okay for you, and that if you've got any resolutions, if you've got things you're trying to keep in mind, that you are doing well, doing your best to succeed at them, but, you know, not putting too much pressure. It's okay to not be perfect. It's not reasonable to expect that for all the time. So I hope you're doing well. I hope these resolutions maybe inspired or just, you know, entertained you. And I will see you sometime from now, back with our regularly scheduled video podcast thing. Okay. But Happy New Year again. Bye bye.